humanizing healthcare. It's holistic, right? And it's not just people who are, tonight we're talking about some of the stories in Perryville, but this goes far beyond. What does this signify?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's about communities. I think that came up, and how do we create healthy communities? Individuals coming out of prison, the vast majority come out on Medicaid, and how do we help connect for their health, which also is going to help them have better lives in the community, lives for their family. So that's an important bridge and an important interface. And so if we can leverage things like, for us, some of the community reinvestment programs that Gil runs for us at Banner University Family Care.
Gil is awesome.
To create these types of opportunities that create hope, that then create great transitions, and then more engaged individuals in the community. These are our neighbors. Banner has 35,000 employees in Arizona, so these are folks that we're interacting with, we're working with, our kids are going to school with their parents, and so it's just an important piece to be part of the community.
Brandon, how are you feeling?
I feel good. It is crazy. A lot of anxiety. I'm glad we saw this process through. What was supposed to start out as like 3 small 2-minute stories when we first started on this project, and then, a crazy idea that I get. We all just kind of looked at each other and said, let's just make a short film on this, not understanding the full depth of what that would actually be. But to me, at the end of the day, it's a story that needs to be told. I think so often we'll turn on Netflix, we'll turn on Hulu, and it's so often sensationalizing the crimes of which landed these folks behind bars, rather than focusing on the underlying cause of what people do to make terrible adult life decisions. And so often that is rooted in their childhood experience. And so going into this project, there was one thing that I wanted people to take away, and that's humanizing the incarcerated individuals inside Perryville Prison, and understanding, a full understanding, that if we give them an opportunity, that people deserve a second chance, but we have to be willing to create programs that offer them a second chance. Because so often in society, in the way we have grown up in just U.S. history when it comes to corrections, we have thrown them behind bars and thrown away the key, right? And not offer them a chance to heal from the trauma that led them down that path. And so if we want a safer community, if we want a stronger community through workforce development, right, we have to come together in order to be bold and create these programs, right? Because both things can be true. These people could have committed some pretty horrific acts, and they also deserve a second chance if they're willing to take that second chance. And so 2 weeks ago, thank you to Jim and Banner. I didn't realize he would always say yes. It's good to know. Yeah, I know you're good too. No, it's that, I can come up with a crazy idea, but I can't do it alone, right? You have to have a willing partner like Director Thornell to even give us the space to say, let's do this. So 2 weeks ago, we started the first ever holistic healing facilitator program. We're now taking 27 incarcerated individuals from Perryville Prison, putting them through a 33-week-long, 200-hour certification program that is focused trauma-informed, by the way. And so at the end of November, these 27 women will be certified trauma-informed yoga instructors, so that when they re-enter the workforce, they're going to come out with certifications, even as a BHT, that is going to make them so desirable. And even then, I came and I pitched that idea to Jim, and Jim calls me back and he says, we're down, we're going to do this thing. And he goes, but I'm going to one-up you here. And I said, how are you going to one-up this? And he goes, Banner is set, and we are willing to hire these incarcerated women when they re-enter the next year. So that is partnerships. That's right. That's a community coming together. That's, having a director finally in Arizona, and as a journalist here for more than a decade, we always haven't had the leadership that Director Thornell gives us today. Where past directors would have never even taken a LinkedIn message that I sent him and responded within hours. And so all things have to align. And I always believe this, when our intentions are true and our intentions are good, and things align perfectly for the better of so many other people. And that's what's happened here, right? It's Jim saying yes, and it's Director Thornell being open to innovative ideas and partners, and that's why this came to be. I just want people to see this film and begin to humanize it. These are humans. These are people incarcerated behind bars. And if we begin to change that narrative, we remove the stigma. And we just have better successes in so many other places in our society.
I remember when I was in the office, because Brandon and I co-office because we're like brother and sister, and like we can't get rid of each other ever. And he said, "Oh, I pinged the director." I'm like, "You're stalking him, the poor guy." And then he messaged him back. He's like, "Oh my God!" And a few expletives, which always Brandon laces into his speech. But director,
They say people who curse are more honest.
Yeah.
It's true, brother.
Yeah. So, Director, I want to leave you with the final word, and then if there's a few audience questions, we'll take them. But this doesn't come without criticism, obviously. So, there are some who say, look, these people have, and some of the crimes are terrible. When I was in there, and some of the women I was talking to and getting to know, and I said, well, what are you in here for? I'm in here for life. I don't want to tell you what I did because you won't want to talk to me if I told you that. So I just wanted to leave you with the word about, you're not trying to excuse any of that. So when people criticize you and say, why should these women, or in Lewis or other prisons, why do they deserve this? Trauma healing, yoga, all these things. Why?
Well, there's a few reasons, and they impact all of us. The first reason really is about the individual. When my wife and I made the decision to come to Arizona, the decision was really based in the idea of just a commitment to helping people, helping a system. And so at the most individual level, the criticism gets rebuked by me because we have an obligation to help those people. And those people aren't just the individuals who are incarcerated, but they're also our staff who work in those prisons, who endure their own trauma and endure their own barriers and issues and things. And so there's that underlying need to help that individual. But bigger than the individual is the community around us. And in corrections nationally, we have these blinders on to the impact that we really should be making in our communities. And we touched on it in the interview and in the film, but it's a point we're stressing that as a system that's funded by our taxpayers, that's embedded in our communities, that has the staff leaving our communities to go work in our prisons, we have an obligation to do every single thing we can to make sure that whatever, whomever, and whenever something returns to the community, whether it's that night with a staff member coming home or an individual releasing after 5, 10, 20 years back into that community, that we've done every single thing we can to make sure that human is better and that human is healthy. And again, my commitment is to doing everything I can to make sure that I leave that mark here while I have the opportunity to do it. And the last word that I'll say, since you gave me the opportunity for it, is, as we look around the audience, as we know who's here, and as you see and hear what you do in the film, the department's committed to that. We have an agency with a storied history, and when you Google it, you don't like to read what the results are that come up, but the department is committed to that. You can throw a stone right now and hit a department employee in this audience who's committed to everything that was shared in that video, and I think we have an opportunity to capitalize.